Now to talk about some MLB breaking news involving Bryce Harper and the commissioner, Rob Manfred, in a verbal confrontation. All right, the floor is yours. What can you tell us more about this?
Rob Manfred met with the Philadelphia Phillies last week, Brian, and look, he does this with every team, all 30 every year, tries to go around and get players' perspectives. And about a half hour or so into the meeting, economics came up, and Bryce Harper essentially said to him, don't be talking about a salary cap, walked into the middle of the room, went nose to nose with the commissioner and said, if you are going to be talking about a salary cap, you can get the bleep out of our clubhouse. And look, this has been in the making, Brian, for a long time. Going back to 2022, the contentious labor agreement that was agreed upon, Rob Manfred at the end of that said, I haven't had a good enough relationship with players, and I'm going to try and change that. So he's been going around talking to them, listening to them. But the emergence of the salary cap, both through owners' comments as well as the public perception that it's something that baseball needs because of the disparity in payroll, is something that players just simply are not going to stand for. It's the only major professional sport in North America without a salary cap, and Major League Baseball players are convinced that it's going to remain that way.
So what does this say about the state of the game that a player can basically walk up to the commissioner, curse him out, especially with a new collective bargaining agreement coming up, I want to say, end of 2026?
Yeah, December 1st, 2026. And I think on one hand, Rob Manfred didn't stand there and take it. He shot right back at Bryce Harper and said, I will be in this clubhouse and we will have this conversation. And frankly, these are the difficult conversations that need to be happening in order for labor peace to continue. We all remember the 1994 strike. Canceled the World Series. It was a problem, and there is fear throughout Major League Baseball, both on the player side and at the league, that it is going to go down the same path. Now, Rob Manfred has not said he is going to lock out the players upon the expiration of that collective bargaining agreement, but at the same time, there is the expectation that that's going to happen unless things really change drastically between now and then, particularly if MLB owners insist on a salary cap.
And I think we all remember what happened in that last player strike, how that just really hurt the game of baseball. All right, so I understand you have some more breaking news. Another Guardians pitcher, Emmanuel Clase. What more can you tell us there?
He was placed on non-disciplinary paid leave today after he was caught up in the sports betting investigation Major League Baseball is doing. On July 3rd, his teammate Luis Ortiz was put on non-disciplinary paid leave as well after gambling operators found that there was unusual betting activity on two pitches he had thrown, one July 15th, one July 27th, or June 15th and June 27th, rather. Pitches that there was unusual activity that he was going to throw a ball. Both of those pitches were out of the strike zone. It's unclear at this point what the ties with Emmanuel Clase and the investigation are, but the Guardians put out a statement, Brian, that said they have no thought that there are going to be other players who are going to be tied up in this.
Now, two pitchers there now tied up in that. All right, our Jeff Passan with the very latest. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
But the reason that I said we need Passan tomorrow morning was your story yesterday afternoon about the Phillies' Bryce Harper and how he apparently cussed out the commissioner, Rob Manfred, in a meeting last week. Take us inside. What exactly happened and what does it mean?
Greeny, Rob Manfred, after the last collective bargaining agreement was signed, decided that my relationships with players are just not good enough. So he vowed, I'm going to go into clubhouses, and has been doing that for the last 3 years. But as time has gone on, it's been less listening sessions and more talking about, okay, this is the state of the game. And the state of the game right now includes the economics in a collective bargaining agreement that expires December 1st, 2026. Well, owners want a salary cap. And Bryce Harper heard Rob Manfred sort of dancing around the topic and decided, I'm going to confront him on this. And by confront him, I mean walk to the middle of the room, holding a baseball bat, get in his face, and say, if you're going to talk about that, you can get the bleep out of here. And Rob Manfred shot back, used some curse words himself, and look, they didn't need to be separated. There were no fisticuffs, but I think the important takeaway from this, Greeny, is that Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball Players Association right now are on a collision course. And if the salary cap is something that MLB is going to pursue, then there is going to be a labor stoppage. It's as simple as that. They have some time to figure this out, but where it stands right now, Greeny, it's not great.
I was there in spring training in '95 after the '94 World Series wasn't played. I was there when the replacement players were there. Yeah. I remember when the judge wound up making the ruling that wound up bringing the players back, and they won that one. And what is your sense of how this thing goes before we get to that date and the perhaps inevitable work stoppage?
I think, look, there are relations between the sides that are not great. There is a lack of trust, but there's also room to maneuver if the parties will get together and talk with one another in good faith. The problem is both sides think that the other is not there to bargain in good faith at this point. And so you're going to hear over the next year plus, Greeny, a lot of rhetoric. There's going to be a lot of posturing. But I think at the end of the day, what both need to understand is that baseball is in a pretty good place, and that losing games or, heaven forbid, a whole season, because Bryce Harper during that meeting said, we are not afraid, if you're going to hold the line on the salary cap, to lose 162. They are not afraid to lose a full season. That is a terrifying prospect for everybody involved in baseball, and something that I think people who are fans of the game really hope they can get past, because we remember 1994, man, and that did damage to the game for a long time, damage that still, to fans of the game back then, they remember.
Absolutely. No, if you haven't read it yet, I recommend Jeff's entire piece on ESPN.com detailing what happened there with one of the game's biggest stars and the commissioner. Jeff Passan, thanks for getting up. We'll check in with you.
Hey, here's some baseball stuff happening.
Yeah.
Bryce Harper with his beautiful hair.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Handsome face.
Oh, yeah.
Great beard. Incredible baseball resume.
Yeah.
Okay, and name. Manfred came in there, hey, boys, how we doing?
Yeah. You sorry, cat.
Hey, how you doing? Bryce. You negotiating with us. We don't want to hear, because allegedly there was something about going around a PA as well, and how is that whole thing going to go? I heard some rumblings at the All-Star game when I was talking to some of the players about some of their fears and everything like that. Literally, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was an All-Star.
Yeah, embedded in it.
This feels like there's some big shit right around the corner here for baseball. Like, very, very big. We're talking about baseball being in a surge. Okay, that's what we've been talking about.
Right.
And I think we all, 9-year NFL vet Darius J. Butler, I think we all agree baseball is doing a little something.
Yeah, biggest stars showing up in the biggest moments, and that's when you get the casuals in. That's what any big-time sports win. That's what the kind of run the MLB has been on.
Home run derby up like 5-6%, I forget what it was. I mean, every baseball good right now.
Yeah.
But then if you forecasted a future in this moment, it's like, oh, no. Is this all for naught? Are we about to take a massive step backwards and they're not going to be able to get a new CBA done? Is the salary cap going to get implemented and people are going to get pissed? Are the players going to not only maybe get struck like a strike, but are they going to get held out, locked out of this entire thing? I mean, it feels like there's some real shit brewing. When does this all happen? And we're going to have Jet Passan on at 12:45, 12:40-ish. This feels real for baseball, yeah?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, it didn't really happen, but it kind of started with the COVID year when because they basically were saying, like, hey, if you're one of these players who's making a bunch of money, you're going to have to take, like, 60% of your salary because we're having less games. And all those guys were like, no, absolutely not. So obviously you get guys who are signing $750 million, or a guy like Bryce Harper, Judge, they're making $400 million. Like, if a salary cap is implemented, like, guess what? Those guys are going to be standing to make a lot less money, probably, you would think, because teams aren't going to be able to pay these exorbitant numbers for one player. And let's just say the stars of the game, when it's been played one way for forever, they're not all of a sudden going to be the ponies who just say, like, yeah, go ahead, you can cut my salary in half. That's fine. That's
half?
Okay.
That's probably dropping, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, some of these guys stand to lose, like, a lot of money.
Hundreds of millions.
Yeah, hundreds of millions of dollars. And they're not going to go quietly into the night.
I laugh because, like, that is the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
That is real deal. If the salary cap gets put in place, they'll start putting percentages on each player. Hey, your best hitter gets this percentage of the salary cap. This pitcher gets this, just like football does.
Yeah.
And that's going to obviously cap things. I assume it will make a lot of ass teams more competitive because if there was a cap, there would be a floor.
They'll have to spend to the floor, right?
So we'll talk to Passan. We'll talk to Passan a little bit, see what he's got going on. Anything else happening in baseball?
Yeah, there's still, some gambling allegations.
What? More negativity?
Yeah, same team, baseball? Too. So it's kind of, we'll see what.
And the one comment, the biggest comment said, He's talking to a guy that said the MLB. None of this should count. It's like, God damn. Ladies and gentlemen, why didn't you tell me? Jet pass.
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell me, Jet? And the green screen ain't working. I see it's green. Jesus.
Dude, I have wanted to say to you for so long, it's not the MLB.
I know. I'm sure you have. Right back there. I got murdered. I got absolute murder. Just trying to do the
Kill that.
The baseball.
You know what? Listen. I appreciate the fact that you acknowledged it too, because you're right. If we're talking syntactically here, the Major League Baseball, it just doesn't work. But listen, as long as you care, I don't care if you call it MLB, the MLB, just baseball, whatever you want to call it. As long as you like baseball, that is what matters.
Okay, I am turning into a baseball lover, so I think that's a good thing. Now, I will say,
I love that.
Football highlights all over the place.
Yeah,
distracted. Yeah. You know, there is I'm running, I'm a dog running, and all of a sudden there's a barbecue here. And baseball's fun. Geno Smith just threw a dime to a guy named Dante. They said it was the darts. It was only one. Okay, all right, then we're back here. So baseball, football right now kind of colliding, and I think it will continue for the rest of baseball season. But let's talk about the baseball's future, shall we? Because I do care about baseball, and I'm getting into baseball. And is it a bad time to get into the baseball? Hey, this Bryce Harper stuff with Rob Manfred, interesting. Then the conversations that I was having with people whenever we were lucky enough to be at the Home Run Derby, both players and other folks, it's like, hey, this CBA thing's a real problem. When is this? And baseball can't shoot itself in the foot right now. It feels like everything's going in a great direction. Do you agree?
I would like to believe that that's the case, Pat, because the collective bargaining agreement doesn't expire until December 1st, 2026. So we got like another full year plus before it even becomes an issue and labor or a lockout potentially is in play. But where it's at right now isn't great. And I think the confrontation between Bryce Harper and Rob Manfred really illustrates the two parties that we have going on here. On one side, you've got owners, and the owners, both publicly but particularly privately, have been talking about implementing a salary cap. There's a salary cap in the NFL, in the NBA, in the NHL. Why does Major League Baseball not have one? And the players, on the other hand, are like, you know what? And Bryce Harper, I think, believes this too. Generations of players before the ones who are playing right now fought specifically to avoid getting a salary cap so you could have as free of a market as possible. And so the people who play this sport can be paid what they deserve, and that there's no limitations on it. There's no constrictions on salary, on length, on anything like that. If a guy is phenomenal and he's out there in free agency, he can get 15 years and $765 million like Juan Soto did. And so you have these two sides that have completely conflicting opinions. And beyond that, Pat, you have a history here. It's been since the 1970s that owners have been pushing for a salary cap in MLB. They lost the World Series in 1994 because players went on strike to avoid having a salary cap. So there's a deep history here, and you're seeing a lot of the same arguments, you're seeing a lot of the same points, but I would like to believe that at the end of the day, everybody involved understands. Yeah, I mean, everybody involved needs to understand that you cannot lose a season. You absolutely cannot lose a season because baseball is in a good place right now. Baseball has people like you who they're bringing in and who are actually watching the game and seeing it and being like, hey, like, turns out baseball's good.
Cool sport. But a lot of games. Yeah. Cool sport.
They've got a long way to go and a large gap to bridge before they get to the point where I think the sides are going to agree on something. And I just hope the 2027 season is not the casualty to get there.
All right, a couple years from now, let's assume that leverage is being flexed by both sides right now and that a good negotiation will take place and collective bargaining will happen and we'll continue to have greats playing great baseball, which is great for baseball right now. I know there's some Spanish speakers in there that don't understand a lot of English, so maybe somebody had to translate to them what was happening there. That's what I learned at the home.
Oh, no, nobody needed to translate what was happening. When Bryce Harper's holding a bat and walks up to the commissioner and says, if you want to talk about a salary cap, you can, exactly what you said right there. Yeah, it's, and here's the thing, Manfred went right back at him.
Yes.
Like,
Nobody gives him a bat. I need a bat. That would be, oh man, what a moment. That's baseball, baby. Okay, all right.
Pat, you know what that is though? This is the first shot in the war.
He takes all their bats.
You don't get a bat.
He takes all of them. They can't play anymore.
You know what? That looks like that's not regulation.
This is mine.
We only got 3 minutes. We only got 3 minutes to hard out. There's other things happening in baseball that are also, sorry, baseball, not great for baseball. Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, Jet, what is going on with the Emmanuel Clase situation? Obviously, he's like one of the big targets this year around the trade deadline, but now there's the gambling investigation. He's been placed on leave. So what's going on there? Is this an issue? Because all these guys are from the Guardians, and also not just him. Eugenio Suarez got hit in the hand the other day. A lot of people were nervous he might have broken it. How does that impact his trade value, and what's going to happen? Just quickly, what's going on with those two guys?
2 minutes, Jay.